Hi, happy Thursday. I am Allegra of Beyond Your Wildest Dreams, and I am here to help make your day a little bit better by teaching you something you might not have known about yourself that can make you more productive and save you time and energy. Because who can't use more time and energy? And I am the author. They're all workbooks, actually. Brain science shows that when you put something into action immediately, you actually learn it better than you just read about it. I think we've all read a book and thought, "Oh, that was good," and then put it down and walked away, and a week later, we really can't remember it. Well, that's because you haven't really told your brain that it was important, and one of the ways you tell your brain something's important is by writing. There's this amazing connection between your hand and handwriting in your brain that increases learning more than even taking notes on a computer. And you might notice my voice is a little scratchy. I'm just getting over a cold, but I'm here today. So happy I have a voice. I haven't had one for about a week, but these are my 4 workbooks. If you don't know where to start, I would suggest starting with 3, 2, 1, done. This is all about getting your to-do list done. It is recently updated and revised, so you can get your paper book now. You can find all of my books at tinyurl.com/BYWD books. And by the way, if you are watching this, maybe you catch just a little bit of it, but you can't stick around, no problem, because this always goes up as the Harness the Power of Planning podcast. This will be episode, I think, 119. And today's topic is about making invisible work visible, and I will get into that more in a little bit, but also I've started to make people aware of what next week's topic is going to be. So I just wanted to let you know that next week's topic is about how to pick the perfect planner. I know it seems early, so this is me kind of planting a seed about maybe it's time to get your 2026 planner. I've already have mine. Actually, it's right here. Here's my 2026 planner. And if you're curious what planner I use, if you go to my website, bywdreams.com, and in the top right, it says like favorite tools and planning tools and stuff, you can find my favorite planner there. But I've already had mine. I usually get it in the summertime because I already have to start putting information down for the following year. In fact, someone actually recently booked me for 2027. Somebody have to get next year's planner too. Right now, it's just written in the December 2026 placeholder in that month, but I'm gonna have to, yeah, get the next one. So, planting a seed that you wanna start thinking about using a planner, and that's why I wanna talk next week about how to pick the perfect planner because the perfect planner is the one that you're gonna use, and I love this planner, but hey, maybe it's not the perfect planner for you. So I'm gonna talk about how to pick the perfect planner next week, so tune in for that, and I'm also going to, talk about in 2 weeks, I'm gonna talk about something called your chronotype, which has to do with when are you most productive based on your natural sleep and wake cycles. Okay, so those are the next 2-week topics. I hope you can join me. And again, you can always find the Harness the Power of Planning podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're joining me live, feel free to chat wherever you're watching Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I will see those comments and I will respond to them. So, thank you for joining me today. As usual, I'm going to start with picking a little card from my deck of goodies here. I always love what these cards make me think about because it always seems to be so topical, and I never look in advance, so I don't know what's coming. So I always pull from the back. Follow what you love, and it will take you where you want to go. Follow what you love, and it will take you where you want to go. Natalie Goldberg. Oh, I love that. Follow what you love, and it will take you where you want to go. You know, for those of you who've heard my story, you know that for many, many years, I owned a store called Green& and Greener. It was a one-stop eco shop, and I loved it. Every day that I walked into that store, it was like walking into a dream. Like, I had dreamt about it. I had pictured it in my mind for so long. I knew where everything went. When I walked into that store, it was like déjà vu because I had been living it for so long in my head, and it was every day was fantastic. I felt like I was living my mission. I was getting to introduce people to eco-friendly products. I was hosting events. I was teaching people to compost and how to, DIY home products and bath and body products. I loved it. And, I was following what I loved, which is I love educating people. I love living, a not healthy lifestyle, which means non-toxic in a lot of ways, right? So I love living a healthy lifestyle, and it really did take me where I wanted to go. I created an amazing community. I met so many fantastic people, people I still know today, even though my store has now been closed for 13 years. Now, if you haven't heard my story, the quick spoiler alert is that when I opened my store, certain online shopping portals only sold books, and there was no such thing as a smartphone. So when I closed my store, it was because the online shopping portals were selling everything, and people were coming in with their smartphones and saying, "Hey, this is the price on this place. Can you match it?" And of course, I couldn't. And the thing is that one of the things I got to do a lot when I owned the store was a lot of public speaking, a lot of educating, a lot of training around sustainability, which honestly is still so needed, but anyway. And so really it was planting seeds for what I do now. And the fact is that I've come to realize that I actually like educating more than I like having, like, physical products. Like, this is these are physical products, but see how small they are? I don't really have to, like, keep track of them the way I did when I had a 1,300 square foot store and $50,000 worth of inventory and very, very different. So, I do feel that by following what I love, it got me where I wanted to go because now I'm here again educating people, talking about what I love, which is basically what I love is understanding the things that make us human. I was an anthropology student in undergrad. I've always been fascinated by that whole nature nurture question, and, the current thinking is that it's about 50-50, that your programming determines about 50% who you are, and that your experiences and how you react to them make up the other 50%, and the how you react to them is very important. You are not your circumstances, I want you to know. And the thing is I like making people aware of the 50 and the 50, you know? I always tell people, I help humans human better because there's certain parts of being a human that are not changeable. Like, humans are animals, and we're designed to eat certain types of food. You can't feed a dolphin a steak, and you can't feed a bear tempeh and expect them to thrive because that's just not the kind of food that they're designed for. So I like to make people aware of that 50% of your programming that you can't control, that, like, as a human, these are the things that affect you, such as, like chronotypes. Like, we need a certain amount of sleep. It's just a reality of being human. And yet so many of us, we live lifestyles that make it difficult for that 50% to thrive, right? If you're not sleeping enough, if you're not eating well, if you're not staying hydrated. I'm actually working on my 5th book, which it's gonna do with habit formation. I'm unsure on the title, so feel free to vote if you wanna vote. The titles I'm thinking about are Rock Your Habits, because, 3 of the books already have Rock Your in the title. This is my 1st book, which is why it doesn't have Rock Your in the title. So, Rock Your Habits. I also thought about calling it, The Little Book of Good Habits, and the other title was Good Habits Made Simple. So, basically, want to help people learn how they can engineer their habits to help them live a life beyond your wildest dreams. So, I'm actually writing something right now, and it was talking about, a lot of people have this goal of drinking more water, and it's a great goal because mild dehydration has been shown to have so many consequences, including, and I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV, but you'll see in the book, I quote all my sources, so you can look it up there, but mild dehydration has been shown to create, low energy, increased allergy experiences, uh, premature skin aging, low blood pressure, all sorts of things. Anyway, you just as a human, you just need to drink a certain amount of water, and so, I always tell people that I'm trying to help them understand the 50% that you can't really change because 'cause you're a human, but then I'm also trying to help people understand the 50% that they can control in order to live a life that is as they want it to be and not just reacting to a life. So, yes, going back to the quote I pulled, Natalie Goldberg, "Follow what you love and it will take you where you wanna go." I love the whole nature nurture thing. I love telling people about the 50% really not in our control and the 50% that is in our control because I just want to help people. I wanna help human better. This is why when people ask me, "What industries do you like to work with? Where do you like to train?" If your industry has people in it, I can probably help them. I'm your gal. So, thank you for that quote, Natalie Goldberg. I love that. As you can hear, my voice is a little I feel like an old school, like, vaudeville actor doing that, but it works. It's so good. Okay, so today's topic is about making invisible work visible. Now, the term invisible work, I feel like kind of has some different meanings, but the way I wanna talk about it is that when it comes to planning, I find that a lot of people only write the due date into their planner. So just to give you an example, let's say you're planning a dinner party and you write on October 1st, 6 p.m. dinner party. So you write that in your planner. I'm just giving a little example for those watching tonight, watching on the screen, right? So dinner party, October 1st, 6 p.m. They write that down, but they don't write down, "Oh, well, 2 weeks before, I need to pick the guest list," right? So before you can even have the dinner party, there are all these steps that have to happen before the dinner party, such as picking the guest list, inviting people, figuring out what you're gonna serve, grocery shopping for what you're gonna serve, getting the house together, setting the table, cooking the food, getting dressed, picking out your outfit, right? Getting dressed. And then afterwards, there's also the the cleaning up that's required from a dinner party. So what I suggest to people is that they make the invisible work visible. Put it in your planner. Whenever I host a dinner party, I put in my planner all the maybe a dozen items that need to happen to make the dinner party happen, right? Yes, of course, I choose by the way, choosing a date, there's a whole nother thing. Have you chosen a date for the party that you wanna have? Have you talked to whoever you live with to see if they're okay with you having the party on that date? See, this is all invisible work that doesn't get talked about, and it's taking up capacity in your brain, like, "Oh, I gotta pick a date for the dinner party. I gotta pick a date for the" like, you might not think you're using up energy that way, but you are. And so what I'm saying is pick write down all these things in your calendar, in your planner, whether it's a digital planner or your phone or it's a physical planner. I'm definitely a fan of the physical planner. Put it all down. Put down, you know, talk to my whoever I live with about having a dinner party. Pick a dinner party date. Figure out the guest list. figure out the menu, go grocery shopping, clean the house, figure out what to wear, set the table. Write it all down in your planner on the day you want it to happen. People love these lists, to-do lists. That's what the to-do list book is all about. But rather than just creating a list, give it a date, give it a time. Go grocery shopping 5 days before at a time that works for you. Just put that in your planner and then you don't have to think about it anymore. It saves you so much time and energy doing this way. So let's do another example. Let's say that you have a meeting with a new client. And so you write down in your planner, October 1st, 10 a.m., meeting with new client. Okay. But again, that's just the event itself. This new client, where did you meet them? You probably attended a networking event 3 weeks before. And then after you attended that networking event, maybe the next day you connected with them on LinkedIn. And maybe 3 days later, you sent them an email and saying, hi, it was great. Maybe if they haven't answered you on LinkedIn. And then maybe you do some research on them. And a week later, you say, hi, I was doing some research. I was thinking about you. I thought of a way that we could support each other's business. And I'd love to have a conversation with you. And then maybe, you say, let's set up a time to talk on Zoom or phone or whatever. And then a few days later, you do that. And then maybe 2 weeks later, you say, hey, I was thinking about you some more. Put some stuff together. I'd love for us to get together in person. Right. So all these things had to happen before that 10 a.m. meeting with the new client. You can build that into your planner. As soon as you know you have a networking event on the books, start building in, okay, next day, follow up on LinkedIn. 2 days later, follow up by email. You can build all of that into your planner. And then you can also, after you have that 10 a.m. meeting on October 1st, you can also build in all the follow-up that's going to happen afterwards. Because if you've ever been in business for yourself or in sales or marketing of any kind, then you know that the points of contact are the tip of the iceberg in a customer relationship. So much happens afterwards with following up, especially in this day and age where everything's so crowded, right? People don't always check their emails. Some people are on LinkedIn. Not all people are LinkedIn. Do you have their phone number? Are you going to call people? All of this is invisible work that is just taking up brain power. Put it onto paper, get it out of your brain, get it into time. The other thing that's really great about making invisible work visible is that it helps you when you're talking to the people in your life. Like, for instance, let's say your manager is asking you, hey, what have you been up to? If you haven't put in your planner, follow up with person I met at networking event, then you might forget to say that. You might forget to say, I went to this great networking event. I met 5 people. I've already followed up with them on LinkedIn. I've started working on an email that I'm going to send out in 2 days. Look how different that conversation is than if you hadn't made that invisible work visible, even to yourself, because sometimes we're just not aware of the things we're doing. So it makes us aware. It gives us a new appreciation. It gives the people we're working with a new appreciation because now we can tell them, oh, well, this is my follow-up plan. These are the things that I'm doing to cultivate future clients. It helps make those conversations with your managers that much easier. And then when you have to do your annual review or quarterly review, whatever your company does, you have all these things in your planner that you can now look at and say, oh, okay, I followed up with 150 people that converted into 10 new clients. Now you have that documented in your planner so that when you have to write your review, you can grab that information so easily now and turn it into numbers, because it's so much more powerful if you say, followed up with 150 people, landed 10 new clients. You can actually calculate your, return on investment of the time spent. And you can see, are you getting better at it? Are you getting worse? Is it a slow time? It gives you so much more information than if you are not documenting all of that invisible work. It's also really helpful, I have to say, in my family life because I work from home. My husband does not. And there have been times where he had said to me, this was early in our relationship. We've been together a very long time now. What did you do today? Because I make my invisible work visible. I can say, oh, well, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. People don't know what you're doing if you don't tell them. Even though the laundry's getting done and the food is in the refrigerator, people have this ability to forget, oh, someone actually got that food for me and someone actually did that laundry for me. So sometimes it's important to make the people in your life aware of the contributions that you make so that it gives them an opportunity to say, oh my gosh, you did so much. Thank you for that. And also vice versa. I make it a point to say to my husband, hey, thanks for what you do at work. I know I don't get to see it. I know I'm not aware of the actual steps, but thank you for what you do and how it contributes to our household. So make invisible work visible. It helps to get your thoughts straight about what you need to do in order to accomplish a bigger goal. It helps to make communication easier in professional settings and personal settings because now you have written down exactly what you've been doing and you can communicate that effectively. And it saves you so much energy in your brain because you're not trying to hold all that up here, which then frees up your brain to do more creative thinking, more problem solving thinking, because you're not just using your brain to remember, remember, remember. So, 3 great reasons to make invisible work visible. And I hope you found that helpful. If you are watching this or listening to this as the Harness the Power of Planning podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, rate, follow, do all the things. It costs you nothing and it helps me with the algorithm. And if you'd like to find out more about what I do or have me come speak at your community or your organization, visit bywdreams.com. My voice is totally going. And you can also find out more about me, like for corporate training, et cetera, if you go to inspireinformignite.com. You can find it all on bywdreams.com as well. It's just click under corporate training or training and events, and you'll find all of that there. And if you want to, work with me more, you can read my books. I have some online courses. And my voice is going, so I'm going to wrap this up and just say, as always, planning makes everything easier. Oh, sorry, I just saw this comment. Hi, Cassandra. Yay, thank you. Cassandra said, love your actionable tips. I need to implement these more with my client work. I conduct so many workshops without scheduling the time to build them in. Yes, and you know what? One other thing. If I can get my voice to last. One other thing related to what Cassandra just said is, I talk to people all the time who say that they're in back-to-back-to-back meetings and they feel like they never have any time to do the action items that come up in those meetings. If you find that you need that time, build that into your schedule. Maybe cut meetings to 50 minutes so that you have 10 minutes to process before your next meeting, or maybe even cut a meeting to 45 minutes so you have 15 minutes to process. Or if you have an hour-long meeting, build in a 30 to 60-minute buffer before your next meeting so that you can do those action items. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I'm on a call with someone, inevitably I have action items I need to work on immediately. I need to get them a book I told them about, or I need to get them an estimate for a training. I wanna work on that when it's fresh, when the conversation is fresh in my mind. I don't wanna then jump into another conversation with somebody and then, "Wait, who said what? When?" So, it's interesting, I've become really familiar with the association industry recently. I did a training at a national conference, and associations are anything that has an association in the title. That's obvious. Sometimes it's not always obvious, but for instance, homeowners associations, the American Dental Association, there's so many associations. And associations, some of these associations are actually managed by outside companies, which are called association management companies. And these association management companies might manage multiple, like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 associations. And so you might be talking to the American Dental Association at 9 and then talking to the Homeowners Association of Santa Clarita at 10. And imagine if you're confusing those conversations, they're talking about such different things. So I would highly, highly recommend that when you're talking to different clients, don't do it back to back. Give yourself 25% to 100% of the time of the meeting that you had to process that meeting. So if you had a 60-minute meeting, give yourself a minimum of 15 minutes and a maximum of an hour to process it, think about it, write your notes, do any to-do items that you can do quickly, put into your planner any deliverables that are deliverable later on, and just kind of reset for your next meeting so that you're not going in kind of with your brain already full and you go into your next meeting with your brain already full. You're just not going to be as productive. You're not going to be as good a listener because all of those things that you said you would do for the client that you just talked to, they're kind of crowding your head. So that's another part of make invisible work visible. If you feel like you don't have time to process things, to implement things, then you need to build that time in. And it might just say, hey, implement things discussed. Like maybe you say on Tuesday, you save 10 a.m. for implementing things discussed on Monday. And maybe, for the next day, maybe 10 o'clock is always an implementation block. Plan your calendar however you want, but be sure to give yourself time to do these things that aren't a meeting time. You still need a time in your planner to do these things because otherwise it just doesn't really happen. Okay, Cassandra, thank you so much for that comment. And I'm glad my voice held out. And follow me, rate, subscribe, check out my website. And remember, planning makes everything easier. See you next week. We're talking about how to pick the perfect planner next week. And then the week after that, we're going to talk about chronotypes and how knowing your chronotype can help you be more productive. See you then.